It is a decision that has surprised both political parties and eminent lawyers. The question is, can both warring parties reach a compromise? Is there any possibility whatsoever that in the next 5 days some form of miracle will happen, and what hasn't happened for the last 60 years will now happen in the next 5 days? One of India's best known lawyers, Soli Sorabji, former Attorney General, live with me from New Delhi. Also Mahesh Jethmalani, leader of the BJP and an eminent lawyer himself, Rashid Alvi of the Congress Party, Prabhu Chawla with me of India Today, also Harishankar Jain, lawyer, Akhil Bharat Hindu Mahasabha. Soli Sorabji, my first question to you, sir. This is a battle that has been going on for decades now. What sense do you make of today's deferment? It's rather unprecedented, and people want to know, do you believe there's any possibility at all that over the next 5 days we will be able to accomplish what hasn't happened over the last 60 odd years?
Well, if you believe in miracles, then only it can happen. It's totally unrealistic. Attempts have been made for months. And now the judgment was about to be delivered. Arguments have been heard, evidence led. And now this stage to defer it, on the contrary, I think it would be counterproductive. People had got into the mood that they would accept the judgment, whatever the verdict. Both the political parties of either side, the people were calm, told the people, please accept the judgment. Of course, you can always go to the Supreme Court if you are dissatisfied. Now at this stage, to defer it, and at whose instance? That's my main point. The parties to the litigation didn't say, oh, please give us a chance. Please let us do it. They don't. They didn't ask for it. Some other person comes in and says, you defer the matter because it may be settled. I think it's really... as I say, unless you believe in miracles, settlement is not likely because the parties have made their stand clear. Of course, it's very good if a matter of this nature is settled, but we have to be realistic. We can't have unbounded optimism.
You're saying that only a miracle can lead to an out-of-court settlement. Mr. Jethmalani, your father, Ram Jethmalani, was with us this evening, and he said he's surprised, he's baffled. He thinks this is a very mysterious decision, it's unprecedented, and he can't make out why the courts have taken this decision. What sense do you make, as someone who's seen so many cases at such close quarters, what sense do you make of the Supreme Court deferring this verdict which all of India had been anticipating and waiting for?
Well, you can only go into the mind of judges by what they've expressed in a court. And if you're asking me to speculate on the motivations of the judges, I can only say that one judge seemed to think that this was a pure waste of time and was inclined to dismiss the matter at the very outset. But the second judge, what seems to have motivated him, and it's perhaps a justifiable sentiment, he feels that whatever is going to happen, there's a possibility, whatever the outcome of the Allahabad High Court decision, there is the possibility of some tension, of some dissatisfaction, and that dissatisfaction spilling over into protests, maybe some violence, etc. And he doesn't want the blame to be laid at the door of the Supreme Court, in the sense that he doesn't want people to say that the Supreme Court didn't at least try its level best and dispose of the matter without giving it a shot at settlement or some kind of a hearing. So, this is at least some kind of the sincere attempt to say that, look, the Supreme Court, when it was approached, it did the best it could, and if any settlement didn't take place, it wasn't for the Supreme Court's want of trying.
Okay, Prabhu Chawla, the timing of this verdict is being spoken about across the country. On the 29th, if the verdict is to come out, it will just be 3 or 4 days before the Commonwealth Games begin. God forbid, if there are communal riots anywhere, it would be a very, very difficult time. Ideally, from the government's perspective, the verdict should not come out now. What sense do you make of the deferment and the timing associated with it?
You see, Rahul, if the intention was to give some kind of a healing touch, healing hand, as Mukul Roski put in the afternoon, they gave some time to people to talk about it. But I don't expect anything to happen. In 61 years, it didn't happen. It can't happen in 5 days. As Soli rightly put it, if the miracles are going to happen, obviously that can happen at any time. But postponing a judgment, I think we can't give up our judicial authority, state of the authority, and you cannot submit to the forces that there would be a law and order problem. Then Afzal should not be hanged. Supreme Court should not have passed a judgment, the Afzal should be hanged. There can be, every judgment can lead to some kind of repercussion which should be anticipated. But it is the judicial authority which has to be respected by everyone. It's the state authority which has to be respected by everyone. You cannot question the authority of state to contain law and order problem. That means you are admitting that India as a country cannot face such a situation. For 61 years, you had allowed this issue to continue. If you can't give it a judicial burial once for all, because all of us respect judiciary. Judicial verdict is without political biases. Therefore, all of us should be ready to accept the judicial verdict, and government should have the authority to implement it. If you question the authority of the state that they will not be able to implement a judicial verdict, I don't think then we are living in a democracy.